What's up, weirdos? It's Thursday. I'm Christopher. And as always, I'm joined by...
I'm Mackenzie.
And I'm Sarah.
And this podcast is for weirdos. We're talking about EMF.
Ooh.
So what do y'all know about EMF in general?
I know what the word stands for.
Which is?
Electromagnetic fields.
Mm-hmm.
I know we use them when we investigate. I know that we use them to... they're not initially, they're not inherently a paranormal investigation tool. They started as a construction tool or, another thing, right? What else do I know about them? I know they're not always super accurate. They tend to be a little bit, finicky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know that it stands for electromagnetic fields.
Okay.
I know that I kind of know the theory behind it is that everything generates that.
Yeah.
Human beings even.
Mhm.
Everything has an electromagnetic field.
Yeah, anything Earth made.
Right.
Or not.
Right. Everything natural on this planet
Yes.
produces an electromagnetic field, and electronics produce it and that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing. I know that we actually probably have a really high EMF baseline here because of the power through line behind my house. Because when we first moved in, me and Mom were really worried about that because we didn't know if either of us were sensitive to it. Because you can get really bad headaches if it's high. And she was like, well, I hope that's not a thing that we have to deal with.
It doesn't seem like it has been.
No, we've been fine. So yeah, I know that we use the EMF detectors. I don't know a lot of the theory behind it. I know that I do it because that's what they do on ghost hunters.
And that's it's like you're I've never been a paranormal investigator before. What do I need? Everybody says
Go to
you need
Amazon and
you
buy
need
an EMF detector for $2.
Yeah, I was buy the what? We have 7 of them.
We have 3.
4.
I think we do have 4.
I bought one
Maybe.
for each of us for Gerpy.
Okay, then yeah, we have 4. We may only have 3. I think we bought us stuff and we didn't buy Alyssa one.
Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
Regardless,
They're not
real
expensive.
cheap. Yeah,
I spent very little money, and they look the exact same as the supposedly really bougie ones on television.
Yeah.
Right.
They all do the same
Basic
thing.
It's like a Geiger counter. It's just reading a thing
Mhm.
in a space.
Yes, we're correct.
Okay.
EMF stands for electromagnetic fields. What is an electromagnetic field, though?
Can I make a guess?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I have a very technical
I'm so sorry.
definition.
So my guess is it has to do with
Earth.
the magnetic field of Earth,
Uh-huh.
and then I want to be the electrons in your body, but I'm pretty sure that's stupid and not
No,
and
girl,
not
say
right.
whatever you want. I don't have no idea what it is or how they work. It's magic.
My guess is that it has to do with the polarity of your body or the item
thing.
And and where the polarity of the Earth is currently, how similar to how a compass works, and it's searching for the magnetic north,
Like magnets.
like magnets. But
This is just an electromagnet.
The electron, whatever the electrons in your body are aligning to the polarity of the Earth.
I don't hate that idea.
That's fascinating.
You can
It's
tell me
wrong.
it's wrong.
It's way more magic and unknown than that.
Oh.
Because
I like
Wow, I tried to
Mackenzie
be-
out here solving science.
You
and
know.
Chris is like, we don't know.
I was
know,
like, I want to be a
there's-
smart little girl, and nope.
there's like 200 years of fucking research gone into like the idea of EMF, and everybody's still like,
I mean,
because
it's kind of magic. It is.
Well, it's like
It's
we
kind
don't
of
know
magic.
how we don't know how brains work.
right, we don't know how brains
Our
work.
brains named
we don't know how
themselves.
magnets work, and that's part of electromagnetic fields.
Right.
So the super technical definition is electromagnetic fields are physical fields that are affected by mathematical functions of position and time as a result of the influence of electrical charges.
So kind of what you said.
So
Kind of. I gave it more science.
I need you to know, Chris. About halfway through that, I went,
Did you tune out?
"Where am I?" I was like, "Am I still on Earth? What's happening?" And then I came back and was like, "Oh God, a science is happening."
Science. There's a lot of
Okay, can you repeat the definition? The middle part of the definition.
Just say the whole thing again.
electromagnetic fields are
Mm-hmm.
physical fields that are affected by mathematical functions of position and time as a result of the influence of electrical charges.
Okay,
That's
so the
kind of what you said.
Yes, but specifically, not with what I said, but specifically the position and time makes me think of why
Ultra-terrestrials.
flaps work. Because
Yeah.
there's
Right.
usually an EMF disturbance, like there
Right.
tends to be either a spike in EMF detection or,
Mm-hmm.
some kind of, there's already another high scientific weirdness happening,
Right.
generally around like a flap. So if it has to do with the mathematical function of position and time,
Yeah.
to me that could be a key part of, not that we're not, again, I'm a pseudoscientist at best.
You have a
I have a
an anthropology degree,
yeah, but I'm saying
which I
like-
know is an arts degree, but it shouldn't be.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is like
And you
the field of paranormal research is considered a pseudoscience. It's not
Right.
considered a scientific field.
Which is stupid.
Which is, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the morality of science versus pseudoscience.
Maybe we should.
Maybe not today.
yeah, maybe not today.
Maybe we should.
Anyway, I just think it could be that definition. The wording of that definition is interesting to me, in the way that we have researched and talked about other major high strangeness.
Well, yeah, but it turns red.
It has to like set itself.
I was like, it always turns red as soon as we turn it on.
It stayed red for a hot second.
I
I'm
see.
gonna put it there. I think your camera can probably see it. I'm
Hopefully.
just gonna leave it on to see.
See what happens.
Anyway.
Okay. But so these fields are regarded as an interaction of magnetic and electrical fields. So essentially, it is the overlap between a magnetic field and an electrical
it's the
field.
Venn diagram.
It is the Venn diagram of these two types of fields.
Got it.
When they interact, weird shit happens.
Right. When
And
they
so-
interact, weird shit happens.
Weird shit happens.
like
and
what
so,
we're interested in.
Exactly. And so, like, electricity does odd things, and, like, magnetism does odd things.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, electricity is magic.
It-
I don't get
So
it.
are
It is.
magnets. They're both magic.
They're both magic.
So
and
putting them. Did I say they're both magnets?
Maybe
They're both magic.
I also might have said they're both magnets.
No, you said magic,
Did
which
I?
is why I went. That sounded different than what I just said.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, they're
One of us said magnets.
they're both magic,
Yep.
and I don't understand how any of them work.
Nope.
Back to our Venn diagram.
Venn
of
diagram.
electricity, electricity,
Uh-huh.
and magnets.
So because both of these concepts are very much magic, the relationship between them whenever they do overlap is very tenuous and fragile at best.
Are they in a toxic
They're in a
relationship?
toxic relationship.
They really should just break up, but they won't for whatever reason.
So any changes to the magnetic field, so like if whatever is producing the magnetic field changes, like a location or like a movement, like anything changes on the magnetic field, the electric field will also change in relationship to the magnetic field. And so one of those movements is an electromagnetic wave.
Oh.
but all of them together, because it creates a loop of that wave causes another wave, which causes another wave, which causes another wave, and it's stuck in an infinite loop until those fields are separated. And that is...
Are you doing the fucking Macarena?
My brain, you went waves, my brain went waves of mercy. Waves
But-
Oh my
of
God.
He's out here
so
fucking
sorry.
singing church camp songs.
So sorry.
Mackenzie is singing Bible songs. The Lord. How do we always end up here?
I don't know.
Couldn't be the pastor's kid. who's
No,
with us.
it's not the pastor's kid.
Pastor's kid, former Catholic, raised, and then a kid raised agnostic
Yep.
is what we have in this room right now.
Great.
Doing great.
Okay, please continue. I'm so sorry.
So a single movement of like a magnetic field that causes the electric field to change is an electromagnetic wave, but those waves create an infinite loop until they are until the fields are separated, and it is no longer electromagnetic field, and it is just an electric field and a magnetic field, and then they both renormalize. But that loop is called electromagnetic radiation,
Oh, that
and
makes
so
sense.
it can harm you.
Right.
Renormalize it like you were normal to begin with. Magic.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
magic was
the
not
magic.
normal to begin with.
I
but
mean,
get
the
what you
magic
mean.
does stabilize.
Right, it's stable magic.
It's
okay,
stable
but
magic.
stabilizing is better than renormalizing.
Okay,
It's not fucking normal.
Restabilizing.
Sorry.
So the very first time that we see any sort of experimentation with EMF is I would like for y'all to take a guess.
Year
Yeah. A roundabout year.
1437.
Earlier.
1062.
Earlier.
675.
Earlier.
The year 0.
Earlier.
Oh shit! The fucking it's like
The Big Bang.
no, it's BC. I know this.
It's BCE.
It's BCE. Oh fuck! It's like pre-pyramid times.
Negative.
I don't think so.
BCE 300.
Closer, but earlier.
BCE.
Okay, so it's not pre-pyramid times then. 'cause pre-pyramid times is
250?
like 6000 BC.
The number needs
earlier
to go
the other
higher.
way.
Bigger number.
Oh, bigger number. 700 BCE.
Oop, too early.
It's like is it like 550?
It's 600
Okay.
ish. Give or take.
I was
About
like-
600.
My brain was like, I know this. It's Egyptian shit, but it's not the Egyptians.
It's ancient Greek.
Right. That's
Um,
same thing.
uh,
I know they
same
aren't.
thing. Ancient Greek mathematician, scientist, and philosopher Thales of Miletus.
Spell it.
Miletus.
Miletus. Miletus. Continue.
He wrote he recorded writings of some experimentation that he was doing with different animal furs creating static electricity on other objects. And so this is kind of the first experimentation that we see having to do with electromagnetic fields, is these kind of static electricity observations.
Do you know how crazy I think about this sometimes when we talk about really early scientists? Could you imagine? Okay, this is gonna be a super obscure reference.
Okay, I'm ready.
There was a children's TV show. I don't remember. I don't remember if it was like Nickelodeon or Disney or whatever.
Called Tuttenstein.
No, but I do love that one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was like these teenagers that would bring historical figures to the present
Yeah. It was like Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Adventure, but it was actually a
But
TV show for children.
for children. And the episode I remember is like Beethoven or something like that, because he gets to see people enjoying his music and experiencing like hearing aids and like,
was it animated?
no, it was live action.
Okay.
And so like because of a TV, not just because of the TV show, but like I think about if we could bring the people that discovered static electricity or light bulbs like Edison or Tesla, right? Like to the modern world to see like how far we've come.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously if we're talking about an ancient Greek scientist, call it that, they would not speak the same language, but like just to watch them be mind blown.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
At
what
where we are.
At where we are and like
Like the butterfly effect of what their
like
discovery or
this
whatever.
Thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago, early science experiments.
Just thousands.
Okay, yeah, thousands.
Only thousands.
Like these thousands of years of advancement and human evolution, like it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because we talk about it from a history perspective, the boom in technological advancement in the last 100 years is crazy.
It's astronomical.
It's unpredictable. Like there's no way anybody in the 1900s would have predicted that in less than 100 years we were going to be where we are now.
Yeah.
Like
it's
crazy.
Nobody would have been predicting we're all going to be running around in cars.
Yeah. I mean, even early automobiles were like, oh, some people will have these. Not like there's
not everybody
700 variations of the same
thing. And then also every household has multiples.
Yeah. Or
generally speaking.
Or, tell the person that came out with the first camera that in 100 years or less, everybody's going to be carrying a phone in their or a camera in their pocket that can also do other things, or that everybody owns multiples thing,
or
right?
Even us growing up in math class, everybody was like, "You're not going to have a calculator on you at all times."
And I have a calculator on me.
Yes, I have one that can do logarithms.
And it's like, and I don't need the calculator to do logarithms. I have Google.
Yeah, I can talk to my device or take a picture of the problem and it will do
the math. Which is insane.
I need you to know I wasn't listening to anything that you guys just said because I was Googling the TV show for Mackenzie.
What is it?
I don't know if it's that one, but there is a show that was on PBS.
Might have been a PBS show.
That it's called Meetings of Minds. It was. This is not what you were talking about. That was a little bit different. So it was kind of like a talk show with historical figures coming. And so like Teddy Roosevelt would meet like Marie Antoinette and then they would have a conversation. So
that's not what I'm talking about.
But
it's
equally interesting.
Equally
I can't
interesting.
find anything that's a kid's show. So I did a Google, but it was hosted by a comedian and it was on from 77 to 81. So that kind of thing.
By 1700, it was understood that objects either had positive or negative charges, and that objects with the same kind of charge, so like negative and negative, repel each other, and that negative positive will attract each other. So like we have the basics of magnets don't like each other or they like each other.
Right. We've got 1 + 1 = 2.
Right. We've got that. And then this name may be familiar. Michael Faraday.
Hey, like the Faraday cage.
Hey.
Like a Faraday cage. Huh. I wonder where that came from.
Huh.
And it's almost like I'm going to talk about him for like this episode, the next episode, and potentially more.
Get comfy with Michael Faraday.
Get comfy with Michael Faraday's name because he's going to come up a bunch. He was the first to coin the term electric field and was the first to visualize it as such with an iron filings experiment in 1851.
Iron filings experiment are rad.
Yeah.
I'm watching them.
Yeah. But so essentially all he did was like he put like something kind of sticky, like a sticky wax over like a magnet and then like tossed some iron filings and then it went into the shape that we
This guy.
the kind of Ooh. I have a picture of the results of the experiment, and so those are going to be posted on socials.
Hooray!
Um,
Hooray for photographs.
and so that was in 1851.
Amazing.
And so he continued to do all sorts of research into electromagnetism and all sorts of odd shit through the like Science Society of London, or
I just like that name.
I don't remember exactly what the society is called, but
Soul.
like when
if it was the Science Society of London, it would be Soul.
it's whenever people are talking about like the society, you know?
The Society.
It's
Right.
That's who they're talking about. It's just a bunch of scientists all together and arguing with each other.
As scientists should.
As scientists should. They should be doing that.
That's how science progresses and grows.
But use in the paranormal. There's a widely held belief in paranormal communities that entities such as ghosts or anything else that is like not visible to the human eye inherently carries electromagnetic fields or radiation, depending on how you'd like to talk about it.
Right. Because it's always like it's an energy thing.
Yeah, and that's it.
And EMF is inherently just like energy.
Yes, it stems from the idea that all living things have energy, and so like energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and so
Right.
that kind of idea, and that these paranormal entities can impact those EMF areas by interacting with them, even if like crashing into each other and creating that radiation. And so we also give off EMF.
Right.
Because our brains and nervous systems are run off of electricity.
Right.
And so if we take that EMF reader and put it against our noggins, I can almost guarantee that it's going to give some sort of a spike. Not a crazy spike, but like, well.
Ow. Fun fact, it wasn't from the initial whack. It was from when I tried to take it down and I hit myself in the eyebrow. My brain may just not be working.
Your brain might not work.
These also aren't super like sensitive. Like
Yeah, they're not super sensitive.
I mean, I can put it like you have to get it really close to the like functioning part of the electronics. Like it goes yellow on this, but it's when you tap it.
Yeah.
They do work because we have gotten spikes.
Yeah. It's just not terribly sensitive.
Can you turn on the devil machine?
No.
Okay.
But so our brains and our nervous systems send and receive electric signals back and forth.
Right.
And so therefore we are creating little
Fluctuations.
Yeah, fluctuations. This theory is expanded on by Michael Persinger, another name we know. I love him. I also love him.
Great guy.
A Canadian cognitive neuroscientist who found that hallucinations and out-of-body experiences could be triggered by stimulating specific areas of the brain with fixed wavelength patterns of high-level electromagnetic fields.
Canada.
And we know this concept as the God helmet.
Oh, right.
So he hypothesized that these intense waves could be responsible for many phenomena, including UFO sightings, religious apparitions, and ghosts.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so it's these heightened electromagnetic fields interacting with our own electromagnetic fields that can create these
Whoop, 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 whoop,
yeah,
whoop,
whoop,
whoop.
whoop, 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 whoop.
For lack of a better term, the whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, the religious experience of an out-of-body kind of
Right.
sensation and whatever hallucination that brings. So I'm going to do a how-to. of how to use an EMF detector, reader,
Great.
whatever. 1, know your equipment. Know where your on and off switch is.
Ours is a button showing my camera in the middle. It's the only thing on here.
It's the only thing you can do with ours.
There's
turn
a
it
button.
on and turn it off.
That's it. Again, it stays a little spiked in this room because we have 3 cameras, a soundboard, a computer,
and 3 phones,
3
and
microphones,
an iPad, and
bunch of shit going on. So it's staying yellow for a little while. It will calm down.
But so, you want to know what like the top and bottom of the ranges are on your device? I have ours. It goes from 50 hertz all the way up to 20,000 hertz.
Oh, damn.
Ours is not very sensitive. It is not.
No, ours is not a high-tech version of
Ours
this.
is not very high tech because the majority use of an EMF reader is to detect electromagnetic field of the Earth and like fluctuations in that field. And so they're highly sensitive and very, very, very expensive and would not be very useful in trying to find any particularly odd things.
Right.
Because it's measuring the tiniest fluctuations.
Right. We don't need tiny. We need like, oh, something.
Some odds happening here. But like also no, does it make sound? Does it not? Are you okay?
I found the TV show.
What is it?
It's called Mentors.
Okay, she found it.
It's
I'm so proud of her.
from
Is it on PBS?
it's a Canadian TV show.
Oh.
That probably got shown on PBS.
Right.
It is from, oh my gosh, 1998. So it
Okay.
would have shown it.
Yeah.
It published right like 2 months before I was born.
Right.
Which means it would have run. It was
Right.
like 5 years of TV. So I would have watched probably syndicated episodes of it.
Yeah.
And it would have probably gotten put on like a PBS in like the middle of the night, which is why I probably watched it. But yes, it's a homemade time machine where and each time the historical figure like helps the kids solve a real world problem. Anyway,
Nice.
Okay.
thank fuck. It was on Discovery Kids. That's where it was in the United States. And I was a
Gotcha.
Discovery Kids
Right.
kid.
That makes sense.
I fuck
Okay,
with
I'm so
Discovery
sorry.
Kids.
I am so glad that I found it, but it was gonna.
If you're
eat at
wondering
me.
why Mackenzie hasn't spoken for the past 5 minutes, it's
Uh-huh.
because she was looking for that.
Yeah.
It was eating me alive.
But so like know your device.
Yes.
Right. Know what it can do.
Step 1, know your device. Know
Right.
what it can do, what it cannot do. 2, set a baseline. So just like it's sitting here in the room, if you're going to be investigating in a room, in whatever space, whatever, wherever you are, make sure to set a baseline. Leave it on and like don't try to initiate anything. Just let it sit there and see what the natural level of the room
For like
is.
a couple of minutes, if you're getting ready to do an investigation,
Right.
just
Yeah.
like let it sit for.
And
a few
like some
minutes.
of them,
So sorry for her yawn.
like Chris was saying, know your machine. Ours will spike when you first turn it on, and then all of the lights will turn off.
And then it'll usually come back to the middle.
Once it gets to a baseline.
Yeah.
Like ours, all the lights are off right now.
Yeah.
Because it's back to like okay, I figured out what the baseline EMF in the room is. So then it will light up to show us any spikes
or
Yeah.
changes.
or changes. So right now, if just the green light comes on, that's significant because nothing is on
Yeah.
on ours. On some of them, it's like, oh, it'll read the baseline and then it'll show you the lights for the baseline. So it would be like, oh, the first 2 green lights will be on, but if you get to like an orange, that's a spike for the room that you're in.
Yeah. And so be aware of things like cell phones. Your cell phone is going to trigger it. Telephones, electrical wires, microwaves.
Microwaves.
Make sure if you're using it, keep your cell phone away from it. Like, don't be investigating at the same time
Don't
as
hold
holding
your phone and the EMF detector in the same hand.
right. But yeah, it like your baseline doesn't have to. You don't have to spend like a bajillion hours like setting a baseline. Like even just like a quick little 30-second. Like okay, let it adjust. Let it sit here. It's not doing anything weird. Perfect.
Yeah.
and then you can use it as a tool. Once you have that baseline, you can use it as a tool. You can use it as like a yes/no machine, being able to be like, all right, if there's nothing, that means no. If you can turn a light on, that means yes,
Yeah.
and set that as a standard. Or you can use it as a proximity sensor, just like the REM pod. A REM pod is another shape and function of an EMF detector. It just it detects in a circle rather than like a straight line, basically.
Mm-hmm. And I think it also, I'm not 100% sure how the REM pod works. I don't know how any of this shit works. But I think the REM pod also generates a field around it.
It does,
And
'cause
part of
that's how-
it is when you break that field, that's what makes it do shit.
Because so it's measuring the electromagnetic field, and so as that field intersects.
Intersects.
God. It
I'm so
changes
glad
the
that you made
fields
that
on both of them.
Right.
So it creates that radiation that it can measure how close it is to, like, along the plane that it is measuring on.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so you can use them as proximity sensors, where if something is close but not like touching it, it'll be low levels. But as whatever field is interacting with it gets closer to the sensor,
It will scream at you.
Yeah, the REM pod will scream at you, and it's horrible.
It's a horrible noise. I mean, it's great for
I really want to turn it on.
it's great for live
turn it on in a second.
investigation.
gonna grab
I
it.
will say, like it's really great from that perspective to be able to get like an initial.
Hey, guess what? When I move the REM pod closer to the detector
Yeah.
And like we've done investigations with just the regular EMF detector, and we've been like, cool, if we're trying to figure out, like, if it's a place we know we're looking for a certain person because we know they're there, it could be like, if we're talking to so and so, turn the lights orange,
Yeah.
and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, you can test areas near experiments. So like if you're doing, like, I know you and I have done it, and somebody has been in an Estes method, and we bring the EMF over there to see if there are any weird spikes next to the person
right.
doing the experiment. And so you can like kind of test things around
What?
other experiments.
I don't think I was present for that.
I don't
No, I remember it being in the 1800s house, 1700s.
Oh,
They little
yeah.
cabin.
It was during the overnight at for Gerpy,
Gerpy.
and it was when me and Chris were at the first house.
Oh, you were I was like,
Yeah, it was just us.
I was like, I have been with both of you for a majority of
right.
our
It was when we were split.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It was when
I
you
was-
were with Alyssa.
I was being
I
part of
think-
the alphabet soup. Thank you.
I think it was when we were at the 1860s house, because I don't remember doing it.
Oh, okay.
Which means and I was the one who was in the Estes method at the 1860s house. You were
Okay.
in the Estes method at the 1830s house.
Yeah.
So we must have done it at the 60s house, because that was when I was feeling. It was then, because that was when I was like, I feel like there's somebody walking around behind me, and I'm feeling uncomfortable, like there's somebody next to me, and that must have been when you did it.
Well, I'd never walked behind you or anything.
No, I know you didn't.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I felt like there was somebody in the room with us.
Yeah, and that's probably
and you
what,
were
okay.
like, I'm going to check.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Because Chris was there.
I am Chris.
Would you like for me to turn on the REM pod?
sure.
Are
Yeah.
we at that point?
Yeah, we're at that point.
Headphone listeners, I'm going to do this away from the microphone because it's really loud when you first turn it on because your hands affect it. And then I'll put it on the table and hopefully it'll settle.
Maybe it'll do something.
So,
It's
hang on.
because you're touching it.
That's the noise it makes.
It's atrocious.
You can play it like a
Like a theremin.
Yeah.
A horrible electromagnetic instrument.
Okay. Great. It's in the middle of the table.
So on the REM pod, you might be able to see it on my camera.
Either of y'all's cameras might be able to
So the
catch it.
colors that
I'll move Bigfoot.
our REM pod has 5 colors. So it has the red, which is its kind of baseline color.
That's just so you know it's on.
It's I don't remember the exact proximity. It goes if there's a yellow, a green, or like an amber, a green, a blue, and like a pinky magenta.
A pinky purple.
And so I'm gonna, for those that couldn't see it on Sarah's camera, I think I can do it to show you the order that it goes in.
What a good, like,
That
very
was
measured
very
experiment.
good.
Good job, Mackenzie. So
Sorry.
yeah, it goes around in a circle.
And
Mhm.
basically, if a spirit were to just, or a human, I'm not going to do it because it's atrocious, but if you were to grab the antenna, it's going to yell and be bright pink.
And it freaks out.
It
And
has
you
a
can
panic.
change on this one. I don't know if you can on every REM pod. The one that we have, you can change how big
The range
a
is.
range is on it. So you can make it where it won't light up until you're really close to the antenna, which is kind of where it is now. You could also set it where it's further away than that, where if someone was standing next to it, it would register that. I did not change the range because it would be screaming because of the other electronics we have on the table.
Yeah.
And I will say the measure, like kind of what I did, we've used this in active investigations, and it's hard to set it off as a person. Like you have to know, once you know where your limit is, it's hard to accidentally set it off. And we've gotten activity on it that could be nothing but paranormal.
Yeah.
Right, like there's no reason why there would be a paranormal fluctuation in the middle of a room. Or like a paranormal EMF fluctuation in the middle of a room with no electricity, like, and we're not moving.
And we've used it, like Chris talked about, as a question answer machine. Been like, if yes, turn it X color. If no, don't touch it. You know, like you can give some response parameters with especially with this one, with the way it changes colors.
Yeah.
Go
What'd you
ahead.
learn?
I did not really know a lot about the history of EMF and the science magic behind EMF. More magic than science, in my opinion.
all
All
science is magic that we
all
understand.
all
Yep.
good science is magic.
And
Yeah.
all magic is
Is
science we
science.
don't yet understand.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
I love that you do this because I love getting to learn more about the tools that we use, and like, not that I don't understand how the tools work, but like, why do we use those tools? I love knowing like the history behind why this is something we use. I love being able to show like things that, like, obviously we've talked about in other like equipment discussions, like things aren't like inherently built for paranormal, but I love being able to prove why we can use it in an investigation setting.
are you done?
I think so.
Okay, because I have a really good thing to go off of
Yeah,
that,
go.
and I don't want to interrupt you. If
Go,
you're
go,
not done. I think that it's really interesting because there are, like, the original EMF detector that we've got on the table was not designed for paranormal research, right? Like, it was designed for finding power lines in walls, like finding where your electricity and shit like that was.
Yeah.
Or, like, you can even use it to check if an outlet is functioning, kind of thing, if you don't have the, like, pluggy-in guy. But the REM pod was designed for this.
Yeah.
Specifically. Like, mine says paranormal equipment something and field monitor.
Ghost machine.
Ghost hunting and field monitor. Like, it is specifically designed for this.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really an interesting, like, arc in the field of paranormal research, where it's like, well, we started out with this thing that was like a theory of, well, energy can be neither created nor destroyed, so when we die, that energy has to become something, and so maybe it's just out there, and that energy can manipulate the existing energy of the earth. We already have this thing that measures EMF. Let's see if we can use it in ghost hunting. And then that became a thing that was like what you do in ghost hunting. So somebody went, how can I make this even more functional for this purpose? And that's how we got the REM pod. There's also other versions of this that like I've never seen in person, and I've only ever seen it on the reboot of Ghost Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
They have a thing that's called a data logger, and it does EMF, temperature, and pressure.
I don't know that I've ever
Right.
seen that.
I'd never
What
seen
I-
it until
what I-
the reboot season.
I
of
have
Ghost Hunters.
obviously like I have seen the kind of EMF related, the Connect cameras thing that they did a lot in the like 2000
the
2010s.
Xbox Connect camera.
Yeah.
And Ghost Adventures.
Well, I've seen it not just in
Right.
Ghost Adventures.
There's
but
another version of that that's become like, instead of using an Xbox Connect camera, they use like a portable LiDAR,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is the same thing.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting, like you said, this arc of like the evolution of paranormal tech.
of tools that
Of tools that are
went
like-
from
Here's this thing that can do it to here's an intentional tool for this
right
thing.
and some of them have not been purpose made yet. Like we haven't got to the point where it's like, oh, we need a better version of this. Like thermal cameras, there's not a ghost hunting thermal camera
it's just a
because
flare.
they're all the same thing.
Yeah.
Like
it's the
there's
same
no way, there's
stuff.
not necessarily a way to improve upon that for the paranormal field.
No.
Right.
But for EMF, it was like, oh, what if we make it where it also makes sounds? We can make it where you can expand how big a field it does. You can make it where it's really tight. You can make it where it's really far. Make it where it makes a noise, so that way if you put it in another room, you can hear it and go to it. Because most of the like handheld ones don't make a sound because your
Oh.
hand can set them off.
What I was gonna say also about REM pods is there is a version of REM pods that they put in stuffed animals
Yeah.
as trigger objects.
oh,
like-
for
like
chill-
Boo Buddy.
Like
they're
they
called
call
Boo
them Boo
Buddies.
Buddies.
those usually also have like an audio recorder in them too.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. The closer you are to it, and they've got some similar to a REM pod or like with an audio, where once it's close, it'll like a music box. It'll start making. It won't make the atrocious sound that ours
it won't
makes.
scream.
It'll play a song.
Yeah.
Right. So
They'll
that's
play a little ditty.
A little ditty for the little kid ghosts.
Yeah.
The babies. I love learning about our tech that we've got.
Every time you do this,
I
it
got
makes me
a-
so happy.
I got a backpack full of tech, and I don't know how any of it fucking works except for the video cameras.
Fuck yeah. Anyways, I think that's all we need to know about EMF, at least for now. Join us next week for whatever we're going to talk about next. Thanks for listening.
This podcast is for weirdos.
Are you a weirdo?
Thursdays are for the phenomena.